want to join me?
So Dexter Season 4 tells the story of Dexter settling into suburban life as a husband and now father of a newborn baby when the elusive Trinity Killer comes to Miami. We are finally back, everybody. We are back talking about Dexter with Season 4. First of all, I want to thank all of you for your patience in waiting for this season. I've gotten a lot of comments, multiple comments from some of you bastards about when the season's going to come out. When are you going to talk about Dexter again? When's Season 4? What the hell's going on? And I thank you for sticking with me. I appreciate your patience, and I apologize for the long, ridiculous delay between Season 3 and Season 4. There has been some technical difficulties on the end of my collaborator, Mother Mayhem. And for those of you that are watching, obviously, I didn't show her in the intro. I don't know what's going on with her channel. So please do not message her privately. Don't barrage her. She's got something going on in her personal life, obviously. Her YouTube channel is hidden right now. There's no videos. So I don't know when she's going to be back, if she's going to be back. But if she is, obviously, I'll post the link down below to her Season 4 review whenever she gets caught back up. But we got to go on with the show, because here in a couple months we're going to get the follow-up, the revitalization, the revival of Dexter. So got to get the rest of these done. So Season 4 is going to be a solo venture by me. Hopefully not too many more, but we shall see. So Season 4 of Dexter, pretty much across the board, I would say this one is the popular choice for the greatest season of this show. And I probably would agree with that. I'm going to rank all the seasons once I see the revival season, so we'll see if maybe my thoughts change over time. There's certainly a multitude of awesome seasons of this show, and Season 4, like I said, quite honestly, is the one that I see crowned as the best most times. And we'll just go ahead and get into the positives for this season, because the main reason why I see most people just falling in love with this season and why it's hailed as the greatest season of Dexter ever more times than not is because of John Lithgow. It's because of the Trinity Killer. John Lithgow is honestly one of the most underappreciated actors out there. I absolutely love this guy. I love him whether he's playing a good guy, whether he's playing a bad guy, whether he's doing TV, whether he's doing a movie. I mean, this guy is just a brilliant dude all around as an actor, a brilliant guy, and a very interesting person. You get into him. I mean, he writes children's books and does all kind of stuff. I mean, you look at his role here and think, that guy writes children's books, and it's just like, wow. That guy's got crazy spectrum range for what he's able to do. But the Trinity Killer is just an absolutely fascinating villain, because you're introduced to him right at the beginning of the season. The first thing that we see is Trinity Killer. The first thing that we see is John Lithgow killing somebody. There's no Dexter intro. There's no, settling back into life, and all of a sudden this killer comes out of nowhere. No, they start this season by showing you why you were going to tune in every single week. And all of us did. From just his method of his killing to where it just seems so random, but there ends up by the end of the season and being this narrative to why he slits an artery of a woman inside of a bathtub, and while he pushes a woman or makes her jump off of a high rise, and why she bludgeons a guy, and then you find out there's this fourth victim of a kid that gets buried, and all of like the thematic reasons why he does that, about preserving the child's innocence by burying him underneath a house, and all of this really sick, twisted shit. But at the same time, he's got such a fucked up past and such a crazy, demented understanding of his childhood trauma that makes him like feed off of making these new victims to kind of recreate his childhood trauma, that you almost feel bad for the guy. Like, you watch him and he's such a sweet, gentle guy when he's just Arthur Mitchell, that you would want to hang out with him. You would want to go build houses with him. Even if you're not a religious guy, you would want to go to church with him, because he just seems like a guy that you would want in your life. And then you see the turn, and you see how John Lithgow just takes it from one spectrum of his performance to the other, and this dark, evil, demented guy. And there's no question whatsoever why this guy walked away with the Emmy that year for Best Supporting Actor. And there's no question whatsoever why here recently him being announced as coming back for this revival, most likely as a ghost or some kind of a cameo for a flashback, that all fans went nuts, because he's the shit. He's the greatest thing that this show has given us aside from the titular character Dexter.
Get the fuck off him! I should have fucking killed you when I had the chance.
And the journey that you go on with Dexter about discovering Arthur Mitchell, to where he's hunting the Trinity Killer, he wants to take this guy out. It's almost like a trophy thing. It's like, this guy might be the most prolific killer I've ever taken out. And then he finds out that he's a family man, and he's a church deacon, and he's a community hero, and he's all these things, to where he's this psychotic serial killer, and it's totally just under the radar, and nobody would ever suspect him like all the most famous serial killers are. And he wants to learn from him. He puts off the kill so that he can understand how Arthur is able to balance this life that Dexter is struggling so hard to balance himself. And it's just a great way that they wrote this season to have both of those stories converge and contrast in different ways. And then the ultimate lesson by the end of it, where Dexter wants to be Arthur so bad. He wants to have that balance of life. He wants to be able to kill anybody he wants to kill while being a hero, while being, you know, the super dad, while being this community guy that everybody loves and nobody would suspect. And by the end, he realizes that Arthur has poisoned his family so much with his secrecy and his lies that even though he struggles with all the daily shit that all of us struggle with, he's much better. He's much better at balancing all these things than Arthur. And it's just a very cool lesson that they take us along for the ride with Dexter.
Dexter, I need you to go to an all-night pharmacy right away.
I'm kind of in the middle of something.
Whatever you're doing can wait.
I mean, season 1, yeah, he learns that, you know, blood's not always thicker than water. Sometimes family isn't actually family, and the person that you love, all that with Deb. Season 2, he learns that, you know, sometimes pussy can be crazy. Season 3, not all friends are friends. Season 4, the lesson's just huge. Now, moving on beyond Dexter and Trinity, because that is the predominant thing that's awesome about this season. And even if everything else failed, this would still be one of the best seasons of Dexter just because of that relationship alone. I really like the relationship that they budded between Legueta and Batista. I mean, they've always been really good characters. They've always had kind of this little bit of flirtation there, but they never really felt like they were gonna be a couple or they could be a couple. They just felt like they had this respect for each other. And the fact that they became a couple here could have really easily jumped the shark with those two characters. It could have been something that we didn't really want or just didn't quite land. And I actually thought that they had a lot of really good chemistry with each other. I like the fact that she kind of grounded Batista a little bit more. You know, he lost his wife in season 1 or season 2 to where she, you know, wanted to be separated from him. Now he has this newfound love, and it kind of humanized Legueta a little bit, because although I like her, she's always been kind of a bitch, and she's always been somebody that, because she's antagonistic and kind of in the way of Deb, we don't like her just that little bit because of that, because we all love Deb. They kind of make her more human here. They make her more sympathetic of a character, and they make it to where you actually kind of root for her. You root for her romance to work out, and all the trials and tribulations that they go for with, you know, internal affairs looking into them, and they're having to make statements about the fact that they're not a couple, and then old Legueta comes out and pulls the little legal switcheroo to fuck everybody over by the end to get her way. I like that whole storyline. I also really liked Quinn's feud with Dexter. Now, Quinn came in season 3, and I was mixed on that character. Like, he's somebody new, he's kind of taken over the hole that Dokes left, but, you know, he's a little sleazy, he's a good-looking guy, but you could tell that he's not from the right side of the tracks. You know, he bends the rules a lot a bit. And in this season, I like the fact that you actually get to see how cunning of a cop that he is, because all these people, all these characters that we know and love from season 1 have been around Dexter day in and day out for God knows how many years. Quinn's only been around for, what, like a year or so at this point, and he's already starting to sniff something out, like, what is up with this fucking guy? Like, there's something going on, and none of you fuckers see it. I like that about him. And then I kind of started to grow to appreciate that wrong side of the tracks edge to him, because sometimes those people have a little bit more street smarts than the ones that are a little more squeaky clean. So his whole feud with Dexter and just constantly getting in his face and just, you know, letting him know, similar to how Dokes did, like, I know something's up with you. Just watch yourself around me, because you fuck up, I'm gonna see it. I also thought all of the Freak of the Weeks, if you will, I think it's a term from X-Files, the Freak of the Week characters in this season were just about, if not as good as season 1. You know, sometimes some of these episodes where he goes off and learns about a character that's not integral to the whole central plot, but, you know, there's somebody that was killed, or he's digging up a case, and now this episode's about him trying to track down the true killer here. I thought this season had a lot of really good ones. The one that I always remember is the cop that killed all of her family, killed her daughter, killed her husband, and Dexter kind of goes in and almost flirts with her to a certain bit, you know, where he's looking at the garbage disposal and finding the glove, and then she actually goes to his house and he fights her head on. Like, that's a really good, just separated episode. And, you know, you don't get a lot of those in Dexter that are some of the more standout episodes of the season. Usually episodes that have big, huge story punches for the main killer storyline are the ones that we remember the most. Season 4's got quite a few that don't necessarily tie into Trinity. And also going back to Season 1, I think that it's cool when they kind of integrate those little lessons, like those little things that he learns from each of these people that he kills. You know, he learns something about himself or something about the way that he's doing something, or, you know, realizes that he was down on a part of himself that he should actually be a little bit more high on. I like the fact that they kind of brought that back a little more here. But overall, this is just a wonderfully paced season. This thing just hits the ground running from the opening frame, very, very rarely lets up at all, just gets so much more intense and crazy and intense and crazy, to where all of the different pieces that are set up in the beginning of the season, as those dominoes start to fall in the last 3 or 4 episodes, it's just an absolute thrill ride from start to finish. I mean, you could barely even stand it when this thing was airing week to week, to wait week to week to get the answers, to see what's going to happen, to see who's going to survive, who's going to die, what's the answer to this, who's the identity of this. This was just an insane season of Dexter.
Just want to know a secret. That he kills people.
And all of that capped off by the absolutely insane, unexpected ending, final scene of this season. Now, I'm not going to spoil it because I know a lot of you guys have been commenting on the past couple of seasons that I've done, even though it's been a long time since I've done that, when I assume some of you still are kind of watching along with me, and maybe you're watching this for the first time. I'm not going to say how this season ends, but for all of the seasons thus far that wrap up in a nice little bow, Season 4 does not go that route. And I remember seeing that final season live when this episode aired, and almost just going into anxiety mode about, fuck, now I gotta wait to find out how this plays out? Shit! What's up, guys? Taking a quick break on the Dexter Season 4 review to tell you guys about Scratch It posters. If you're a movie fan that's trying to keep your progress noted and trying to get an idea of how many horror movies or anime movies that you have seen, Scratch It posters has both of these available. They are all scratch off with a coin or with a guitar pick or anything like that that's not going to damage anything. It's a very high quality poster, and there's a lot of really cool custom artwork underneath every single one of these Scratch It posts. I mean, every one of these movies has its own custom artwork that coincides with that film, either an image from that film or a specific scene or something that's going to let you know after you've crossed it off that that is what is representing that movie. So if you're somebody specifically for this poster, like if you're trying to get into the horror genre, or if you're trying to figure out what movies you need to watch next, this is actually a really cool and fun way to keep track of that. You can hang it up, and every single time you watch one of these movies, you just scratch it off the poster and scratch it off of your movie bucket list. So you guys want to check out this one right here, which is the top 100 horror movies. They also have right now a top 100 anime movies. The link is going to be down in the video description. It's going to take you to Amazon, and you can get either one of these posters. They're very cool, very affordable, and a really nice way, like I said, to kind of journey through different genres. And I'm sure they're going to be adding more designs as time goes along. So thank you guys for checking this out. Please check out Scratch It posters, and thank you, Scratch It poster, for sending me this awesome top 100 movies. I got like maybe 25 or so to go before I'm worthy. But it's not without its faults. There is a couple of things that this rewatch pointed out to me that I was like, okay, there are a couple of things this season did, you know, falter on a little bit. Nothing here is a gigantic negative on this season, because for all intents and purposes, I think this is about as close to a perfect season of Dexter as you can get. But there are some things that, as I watch it, that do bug me. The main one for me, and this is not going to be the last season that you hear this, is that I think that a lot of the revelations that Deborah comes up with out of thin fucking air is a little bit convenient here. Now, I understand that to a certain extent they're trying to really play her up as this very cunning, introspective cop, to where, especially in season 1, you know, Legueta kept pushing her off to Vice and just go work the corner, go do all that shit, and she slowly started to build herself up as this detective. Eventually, in the further season, builds herself up to being a lieutenant. So they want you to invest in how great of a cop that she is, and they do a mostly great job with that. But there's some times to where she gets the light bulb moment where she figures something out just by like staring into thin air, and making these connections that I don't buy any human person, no matter how cunning you are, would just come up with it that quickly. There's moments throughout this season where I'm like, okay, all right, that's a little bit convenient there. You know, that's a little contrived writing. I'm on board with it. I'll forgive it, but Deb's not a fucking psychic. There's a final couple minutes in the penultimate episode, Hello, Dexter Morgan, that I think stretches believability a little bit for me. There's this whole sequence where Arthur Mitchell draws Dexter out to this arcade with the knowledge that Dexter's gonna go there to hunt him, but in reality, he just follows him back to his police station and finds his true identity. And you have this awesome moment, this iconic moment where they stare at each other in the middle of Miami Metro, and he goes, hello, Dexter Morgan. That shit, I mean, I'll be honest with you, my negative here, it's worth going through that to get to that iconic scene.
Hello, Dexter Morgan.
But I don't buy for a second that Dexter would be that easily manipulated. Now, Dexter's manipulated in the past, and Dexter certainly does make mistakes, but he knows that Arthur is really on the hunt for him, and he knows that Arthur, I mean, at this point, has killed multiple Kyle Butlers by the end of this episode to try to find who Dexter is. Like, this guy's stopping at nothing. I don't really buy the fact that he would go to this arcade, realize that Arthur's not there, and then just go, oh, whoop-de-doo, whatever, I'll go back to work, and not realize that Arthur's following him. So every time I get to that moment, I'm like, come on, dude, Dexter would have known. But the main thing that bugged me throughout this season, and again, small negatives here. These are like nitpicks, if anything, all of these. This is the one that was more prominent. There's a lot of moments throughout this season, throughout the entire season, to where now Dexter's a husband, he's a father, I mean, he's a neighbor. He just disappears all throughout this season and just, you know, randomly bolts off and goes and does stuff. And especially the last 3 or 4 episodes to where things are really heightened and he's just on the run. He's trying to get Arthur. He's trying to do all these things. He's trying to save this person. He's trying to kill this person, to where I don't buy for a second that Deb would not leave his ass by episode 2, because it's just, he's gone constantly. He's there for 5 minutes and just darts off. He's gone all night, comes back in the morning, and it's like, I don't give a shit how much she loves you. Anybody that actually has a wife, that knows how women think when it comes to their husbands just going off and doing all that stuff, even though they have counseling in this season, there's a few too many scenes where Dexter just conveniently gets to do whatever the fuck he wants, and it never gets brought up. It gets mentioned in passing, you know, they do address it to a certain extent, like a wink at the audience, but there's never a moment where Rita's like, listen, motherfucker, you're not leaving again. We've been in this house for like 6 months and you have been gone for 3 of them. But overall, guys, phenomenal season of Dexter. One of the greatest seasons of television of all time. If I ever did a ranking video like my top 10 seasons of television, this absolutely would make that list. It might even be in the top 5. It's arguably the best season of Dexter. I mean, it really is. Everything that you want from a season of Dexter is in this season. You get a phenomenal villain, you get a lot of really good story writing with the character of Dexter and how he learns from the killer, not only the main killer, but all the little side characters that he meets throughout the season. A lot of great storylines for all of the side characters in Miami Metro and Deb and Legueta and Quinn. And it's just a thrill ride from start to finish. This is the most thrilling, intense season that Dexter has given us, and this revival season has hell of shoes to fill if it's going to get even close to the level of quality that season 4 is. A couple of small nitpicks, but I honestly think most people would skate past those and not even care. So the second that you finish up season 3, don't even waste any time, start season 4 and strap your ass in, cancel all your plans, call out from work, and just binge this phenomenal season of television. And then so you can rewatch it whenever the hell you want, go out and buy it. So what do you guys think of Dexter Season 4? Is this your favorite season? Are you somebody that actually dislikes this season? That would be an interesting perspective. Let me know your thoughts down below. Is the Trinity Killer the greatest villain that this show has ever given us? Or do you prefer one over him? Let me know all of your thoughts down below, guys, and we will talk about it. Please like and share this video so that you can get this thing shared around, get me some good views, some good likes, and make this an even more fun ride all the way to the new revival season of Dexter this fall. So keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, I mean, certainly within a month from now, I'll get to season 5. I'm gonna try to pace them out to where I can end the season 8 review just before the revival starts. We don't have a revival start date yet, So that's going to dictate the speed of how these come out, but we are back on track. You guys are going to be getting Dexter reviews. There's not going to be an 8-month wait anymore. So thank you for watching, and as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean you have to be.